Well, thank you for being with us today. Could you tell us, one of the leader in automobile components and parts, what are some of the key trends that are impacting your business today?
Okay, luckily for Motherson, we are in a lot of components which we manufacture for the car makers. I don't see anything that's really impacting Motherson's source of business and the kind of business that we are doing. Of course, there is a lot of talk of future changes and things like that. So whatever is radically different is not really affecting us. In fact, it is for us, because if you're sitting in an autonomous car, I'm sure you need a better environment to sit in, because now the restrictions of space and all that would be quite different, since you don't have to drive the car. Also the seating arrangements and all this, the ambience has to change. So that's great news for us. For our exterior parts also, it requires tremendous amount of sensors and all those particular things, so cameras and all these things. So it's good news for us. However, I think what's important is the change is luckily not so disruptive that from one day to another it will change. So I think it's more of a journey, which is very important, and one must be having very good synchronization with the car makers, which will tell you what is the future of the car industry and how you are going to then react to that particular thing. I think automotive proactiveness is probably not so required in such troubled times. What is required is more reactive.
So what do you see as the major opportunities for your groups?
Oh, well, the growth of Motherson is phenomenal for the last 31 years, 32 years. We have never looked at opportunities, because in my thinking, whenever you start to strategize and you build some business models where you want to be, you end up paying a big price for it. So if you say, okay, I'm going to acquire X company, and that company says, no, the offer is too small, or so you increase your bid and you keep increasing, eventually you paid too much for that particular company. So we, on the other hand, wait for the car maker to tell us which company to take over. Most of them are either Chapter 11 companies or are divisions which are really performing very poorly. And the car maker then works together with us to get that particular division up and running in a better portion and things like that. So after 2 or 3 years, these companies again become very solid, and they are on a fundamentally strong foothold. So they keep moving then aggressively towards that.
So it means that you have a very, very close relationship with all the car manufacturers you're working with, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think we have the honor and the pleasure to work with them very closely. We are their companies which will set their problems right by choice. So they actually ring up and say, Mr. Motherson, go ahead and do this.
So but the car industry is changing dramatically with the Tesla of this world kind of disrupting the. How do you see the future of the industry?
Well, as I said, it's going to change from one day to another. I mean, yes, if you're talking 10 years or 15 years, I'm more in sync with your thought. But can you really imagine that next year, there's all electric cars and there's all autonomous cars? I would say, what a waste. And you have more than 1 billion cars running in the world. I don't know where you're going to dump them.
So you think there's still a lot of opportunities, and you should not rush, and I like your idea about not strategizing too much, and on the contrary trying to work more closely with the partners.
I think, Dominique, in the last 22, 23 years, what did anybody strategize which came about truly? You think about it, the Indians have seen a lot of crises. We had 2 crises. We had Asian crisis, we had global crisis, Lehman crisis. Did anybody foresee that? So all your strategies went to the dogs, when all those things happened. So as a thought process, of course, we have a vision where we want to be.
Yeah,
I think to have a vision is a good idea,
Yeah.
but to have a strategy in today's world, I am not
You
so.
need to be agile. I
Yeah,
think.
you have to be very nimble-footed. You're very right.
So, I mean, in this very complex world, what kind of leaders or executive are you looking for the future of your company?
Oh, I definitely don't look for people who are too educated, who are people who want to tell me how educated they are. I think the basics have gone wrong a bit. Don't mind my saying so. But what is happening is people have forgotten that their own ingenious, their own abilities. And then when education comes in, that as a tool is a very good combination. So I like people who actually will use their education as a tool rather than put the education in front of themselves. So I believe in what Mr. Einstein said. He said, imagination is more important than knowledge, as knowledge is limited. Imagination is not. So I like more, that thing inside them that yes, I want to. And you see, all the young people who are today coming up with new apps and new softwares and new designs and all that, they are not so educated. They're just thinking. They're college dropouts, most of them.
So you have quite a unique philosophy of life, right?
I do, and I'm grateful to God that yes, I'm pretty well in the direction where I want to be.
But your intention is to stay in the automotive industry or in transportation, or how do you see yourself 5-10 years down the road?
Oh well, we are a group that gives 5 years head up. In fact, in the year 2000, if you look up our annual report, which is in public domain, we actually told you where we will be in 2005. And in 2005, we told you where we'll be 2010, and then 2015 just finished. We've just achieved our 5-year turnover and bottom line and everything. And we've given you the next 5-year target also. So the ability to look at 5 years, I think, is a very important feature in our business, which is automotive business, because the model life of a car is about 5 years. So, it kind of sinks. After that is just coffee talk, what do you think 20 years from now? And
it's difficult to predict the future.
It's difficult to predict. So we focus on 5 years. We focus very strongly on our what we call the 8 parameters in which the car maker judges you. And this is QC, DDM, SES, or quality, cost, delivery, design, management, safety, environment, and sustainability. Now, as you do better and better in this, the car makers start to like you. We are 99% automotive, and for the next 5 years, we will be again 99% automotive. 1% is fun stuff, what we do. But the ability to focus in 5-year terms actually guides you and helps you a lot. And please think about it. In the last 20 years, where we have given the 5-year plans, we have a CAGR of 38.8% every year. We have never missed a dividend in our life, and 40% of our profits are paid out. And people call it unreasonable targets, and we say, well, that's the way you look at it.
Well, thank you very much for your insight and for your great pragmatism. I think it's very refreshing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.